FreshToHome. It's a startup that has raised $121 million in Series C funding, and this is the largest Series C funding in India for consumer tech. I'm going to now be talking with the founder of FreshToHome, Shan, who's joining us all the way from Dubai. Thanks, Shan, for being a part of Startup Central. Just a quick, tidbit for all of you that may not be familiar with Fresh to Table. It's in the business of delivering primarily seafood, but also poultry, as well as some groceries, vegetables, and all of that. But if you look at the ocean to table market, it's supposed to be $94 billion. Shan, that's a massive, massive opportunity, and the one that FreshToHome is primarily focusing on, right?
Yeah, thank you, Nayantara. It's good to be here. I'm actually based out of Bangalore, but I just came here to launch our platform in depth in UAE. So it's a massive market, $94 billion US, and then 99.97% of that market is unorganized. So, it is a pretty disruptive opportunity for an organized player to come in and to change the behavior, the consumer behavior today in that market.
Absolutely. And, do you have any competitor right now in India besides Licious? Is it actually just between the two of you and the whole market which is up for being taken up?
I think there are a number of competitors. Licious is a great brand that they've built. We have built an amazing brand. There is also other smaller players. But at the end of the day, when you look at the market size, and if you see that 99.97% is through the wet markets, then your real competition is actually the wet market, right? We are essentially changing consumer behaviors. And COVID has actually, while it has been a terrible event, it's been a tremendous tailwind for us. What it has led is that it's led consumers to actually try buying online for their first time. And that first time try before you buy, essentially, has led to a huge boost in the business. Because once you know that you're getting really high quality product, direct from fishermen and direct from farmers, and at the convenience of your house, without actually going into a very unsanitary wet market, then you get hooked on, right? And that's essentially the big secret behind over 96% retention on our platform. So if you buy from us once, then we retain consumers for about 96% of time. But pre-COVID, this entire industry, the biggest friction was to get people to try you the first time. But COVID has definitely changed the consumer behavior. And consumer behavior has changed for the better. And then that's really led to about a 2.5 times growth in the last 6 months for us. And then overall about 4 times growth in the last 12 months. So it's an amazing tailwind. And that's a big reason why this industry, and particularly FreshToHome, is growing.
So you're saying that you're also one of those founders, while you understand that cash burn is very important, it's equally important to keep an eye on the bottom line, and because that's obviously how you're going to be growing. I understand you're doing what, 1.5 lakh orders across your platform on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're currently doing about 1.5 lakh orders per month. And that translates to an annualized revenue or sales of 600 crore rupees on our platform. And we believe that we are the world's largest vertically integrated online fish and meat brand at this scale.
Can I ask you, Shan, that on what basis are you making that claim that you're the world's largest?
Because if you look at it, there are very rarely that people actually do vertically integrated back-end. There are a lot of e-grocery or front-end players. There is a lot of supply chain players, but the true sort of power has been in uniting these two factors together. And for example, there are a number of larger, e-grocery players out of China, right? But the kind of backward integration that we do and the forward integration to do, that's very unique. And we've not seen or come across anybody who has done that both together. And that puts us as the world's largest vertically integrated player in the fish and meat space.
So, you've explained a little bit about how you're digitizing the entire process, including the auction process, how you're relying so much more on pictures to, overcome the challenge of literacy and all of that. The subtext of that also is that you're empowering the fishermen, and you're empowering those at the bottom of the value chain.
That's correct. So just to give you a little bit of background, right? I am a serial entrepreneur, been in the Valley for most of my professional life, and I've had two exits in my career. With the last one, I was, India CEO for a company called Zynga. We used to make games like Farmville. So after a large stint in the Valley, the real imperative with starting something like FreshToHome was about the impact we could actually make with the fishermen and farmers. So today, directly and indirectly, we give job opportunities to around 17,000 people. We are one of the largest ways in which particularly fishermen in the southern coast of India are able to sell in an organized manner to us. The platform also allows and enables fish farming to the tune of about 2,000 tons per year. And so this is really a really large business opportunity, but it is also the key ethos behind why the founders have started the company, and then why we've gone from a Silicon Valley setup to doing this is to create that kind of an impact. And we are humbled and honored that we are able to do that and then enable potentially some of the most difficult segments in India to operate. Fisheries is in particular, we have 14 million fishermen in India, and it forms about 1% of India's GDP, right? And their lives are very seasonal. When there is a trawling ban or when there is rain, because of the sort of traditional nature of how we do things. It's a difficult time, right? And being able to do something in that area, particularly with technology, has been a big enabler that we've been able to bring onto the table.
Absolutely. And, I was going to ask you about, Zinnia, and then even getting the founder of Zinnia to invest in your startup. But before I also do that, at a time when there has been a lot of furor about the agri bills, this is a government that talks about doubling the farmers' income, all of that. I want to also understand that when you digitize this entire process, particularly with fisheries and all of that, how do you make money? And do you charge the fishermen and those guys, or do you make it primarily from those who are buying? How does a business model work? And I'm just curious because it's always great to hear when entrepreneurs also solve problems for Bharat.
Nayantara, that's an amazing question, right? So essentially, if you look at it, when you look at sort of how a physical auction, say, let's say for the case of fish is done, what ends up happening is that traditionally they use traditional boats, right? Which means that and they come onto the harbors, and then the auctions get done where the middlemen are always the buyers. Now the middlemen can eat up to about 50 to 60% of the overall margin. And essentially, when there is a huge catch, there will be a huge distress sale. And when there is no catch, the prices will shoot up. That's typically how an auction process happens in an Indian coast. And there are 5,000 such harbors, right? So what we do is that in our auctions platform, when a fisherman auctions back with us, let's say somebody is in Cochin and they auction a prawns for 100 rupees. The same product, if it's going at 100 rupees in the local market or in the local auction, they will bid with us at say 120 or 130. Similarly, the similar product on a different coast, when you get auctioned with us at 200 rupees, because the local auction price might be 150 rupees. So the fishermen will always get 20 or 25% higher than their traditional auction price. Geographically, we get the cheapest price, and we pass that benefit on to the consumer. So essentially, it's that arbitrage and cutting off the middlemen that essentially, through the sellers on the platform, is the real reason why we are successful, and that's our business model. It's a very unique business model. The technology itself is something that has been very disruptive. We were featured in the Media Makers 2017 report for the technology that we brought in, and we were also honored by the Prime Minister of India as part of an elite group of startups that has enabled impact in the agri sector. In fact, in this round, the US government, through its DFC institution, has invested in us, and it's a big recognition of the impact that we are creating in the society.
So basically, those days of the early morning auctions, what we used to call, right, the busy fisherman market, the fresh catch of the day. How do you get all that? Like, do you have a fresh catch of the day? And you must be having to also invest in cold storage, or is that something you don't do?
So through the platform, we have to invest in a cold storage because the biggest issue in India is that there is no cold chain, right? And as a result, what ends up happening is the seasonality. You can imagine that a traditional fish market, say in Bangalore, when it has to get fish from a Tamil Nadu or coast or a Kerala coast, it takes anywhere between 4 or 5 days. If you're in NCR, in the national capital, and you're trying to get fish from a Calcutta or a Gujarat, you'd take anywhere from 7 to 8 days. So, and all of this is actually going through very little ice in trucks. And that entire supply chain leads to chemical contamination. People add ammonia or formalin. At least the more unscrupulous people will add, a much more deeper chemicals, right? So this is really the big issue that we are facing on the supply chain. We have completely disrupted this entire supply chain by cutting short the time between the catch till the consumer. If you're in South India, our produce will reach your desk, your homes within 24 to 36 hours. In the North India, actually, it reaches much faster because we use air for most of our fish shipping. And so if you're in Delhi and at 11 a.m., if you're trying to order from us, the fish might very well be in Cochin. And once you order from us, it's a 3.5-hour flight from Cochin back to our Noida factory. It gets processed overnight, and then by morning, within 24 hours, it actually gets delivered to you. So we are recreating those fresh morning, on the beach catch experience through FreshToHome. And that's one big reason why we've gone viral. And that's really the big reason why we have seen a tremendous amount of growth in a very short time period.
So can you tell me a little bit about how many fisheries or fishermen that you're working with? And then do they only work exclusively with FreshToHome?
No, they are. So we are essentially similar to how an physical auction happens. We are a virtual commodities marketplace, right? So essentially, they don't work exclusively for FreshToHome, but we do contribute to a large percentage of their day-to-day sales, and they're free to sell to anybody. But it's an auction process to the platform sellers, and that process enables them very transparent pricing. If only they get a price benefit and an assured payment benefit, they come to us. And a key part of the how the supply chain works is that money lenders and interest payments are very common in the coast, right? So getting your money even after you sell the produce is really hard as a fisherman. So that's one key reason why they come to us. We assure the market, we assure the payment, and we also assure a higher price. So it's a win-win for both the fishermen, us, and the consumers.
Now, I wanted to ask you this question, and because I'm running out of time, Shan, you said you're a serial entrepreneur. You all were also involved with Zinnia. You also got the Zinnia founder to invest in your dream and your startup. Was that easy? Because you're leaving and your former employer says, "Hey, I wish you all the very best. In fact, I believe in you so much. Take a check as well." It seems like that to an outsider.
Actually, true entrepreneurs always support each other, right? And Mark Pincus, the founder of Zynga, is an amazing entrepreneur and is a big mentor to me. And he wrote our first check. It was the same fund that actually wrote the first check for Facebook. And I'm honored to be supported by Mark. Interestingly, my first gig in the Valley was in a company called Support.com. It's another company that was started by Mark Pincus. So we've had a pretty deep relationship. We've also had a number of other luminaries from the Valley who has invested in the venture.
So here's wishing you and the entire team at Freshly Table all the very best, and we look forward to more interviews in the near future.
Thank you, Nayanthara, and thank you for your time.